How's it going, everyone? So I want to talk about tenacity in the lawn today. Uh, it's the middle of May. I sprayed the lawn with tenacity probably the second week of April. I did 2 applications, and the applications I did were at half the recommended rate. Now, my lawn is really thick. It hardly has any weeds. But last year I did a huge leveling project along my driveway. Brought in a sod cutter, removed the sod, and I brought in like 6 yards of topsoil. Well, along with that topsoil, of course, came weed seeds. Not only did I use most of that topsoil along the driveway area, but I had spread it around my property to fill in some low spots and do some leveling with topsoil. So this spring, as things started to green up, the first to green up were the grassy weeds that came in with the topsoil that I had put down during the summer last year. I did get some of the grassy weed germinated during the summer and in the fall, but not as much as what germinated in the spring, which is pretty much normal for grassy weeds. So I had tenacity. I've had a little bottle of tenacity. This is probably the 3rd year now. I was going to just let it go, figuring, well, the grassy weeds, they usually die out. The grass will choke it out. But, of course, being crazy about the lawn, I couldn't help myself. So the point of this video is the aftermath of using tenacity and what you're going to see after you use tenacity, and the fact that it's unsightly. But don't panic, it does go away. It turns the grassy weeds white, and it really stands out. It's Sunday morning right now. I mowed the lawn last night about 7 o'clock. My wife will come out and critique the lawn or tell me it looks good or it doesn't look good, and she started asking me, what are all these white spots that are all over the place? So, of course, I had to explain that it's the weed killer tenacity that did it. So let me take you around and show you what you're going to see after you put tenacity down. Now, when I put the tenacity down, when I put any kind of weed killer down, every type of weed killer, including tenacity, it comes with instructions on how to apply it. My suggestion to anybody using any kind of weed killer on an established lawn where you have more grass than you have weeds, don't use the full rate. Go half. There's no reason to use the full rate unless your lawn is just nothing but weeds. Then I would use the full rate. So what I did is I treated with going with half the rate with a backpack sprayer. I mixed the tenacity with water in my backpack sprayer and sprayed. I got a little bit of whiteness in the weeds. Then I came back again a second time, and I believe it was 2.5 weeks was the second application at half the rate, and then that's when I really seen things start to die out. So again, don't use full rate when it comes to weed killer. Go half, go quarter, depending on what your weed situation is, because it is unsightly, and it's going to be unsightly for a couple weeks. I know it's going to grow out. It is what it is. I'm not concerned about it. It's grass. It'll come back. It still looks good, even with the spots that are white in color. My grass is nice and green. The cut looks amazing. I've been cutting with a reel mower this year for the first time, and I'm really liking the look, and I really enjoy mowing with the reel mower. So let me show you I'll take you out front first because that's where most of it is, and show you what it's going to look like after you use Tenacity and how it really stands out in the lawn. It's the morning after a fresh cut with the reel mower, and you can see the grass is nice and green, and you can see all the white spots. And again, the white spots are from the Tenacity. It's a grassy weed. I'm not going to get into what it is. I'm not quite sure. I really didn't do my research on what it was, but I knew it was a weed looking at it. So I did the lawn leveling along the driveway last year, and right along the edge of the driveway, and you can see the white where the grassy weed is dying. There's a lot here, and again, this was because I brought in topsoil. I never had this issue before. There's an area here that I had thrown topsoil down, and this area here in particular was really low, and I had filled this in a few times over the summer. But the whiteness really stands out. I'm going to turn around here. It really stands out against the green grass. So I'm thinking in a couple weeks this will all go away. I think I'll probably come out with the scarifier and see if I can't pull some of this out with the scarifier. But this is what you will see after you use Tenacity, and there's no getting around it. It's just how Tenacity works. And we got a little rabbit running across the lawn. I'll take you around the side. So this is an area here that I've always had trouble growing grass. There was a tree here and it shaded it, and over the years threw down a lot of that sun and shade mix that you get at the box store, but the Tenacity has killed a lot of it off, which is good, because now the Kentucky bluegrass, which is what the variety of grass is that I have, it'll fill in these areas. He must have a nest back here, but he's enjoying the lawn as much as I am. This area here is an area, my mixing spot, so you can see it's a little heavier than others. It probably killed some of the grass. I was testing the sprayer out. We'll take a walk down the side. For the most part, it's all green until you get to this area here. I think this might have been bent grass down in this area. This Tenacity is really just a weed killer for grassy weeds. There's an area in here. Again, the white is from the Tenacity. A little spot over here. The back wasn't as bad as the front because most of the leveling that I did with the topsoil was in the front. See a little bit of whiteness there. There's some kind of grassy weed that the Tenacity was able to kill. And up in this area, this was bent grass, and I've been struggling with this little spot with bent grass for the past few years. That's basically the tiny little bit that's left. and I wanted to get rid of that, and I think that'll be gone in another week and a half or so. The ugly white looking dead weed. And this area here is patchy with the whiteness, and that is a dog spot. Nothing I can do there. I'll rake that out. It'll grow back in. Back here, I took a lot of new soil, new topsoil, spread it around, and you could see there was a lot of grassy weed in that new topsoil. But it's the Tenacity has done its job. It's worked. So this being the middle of May, I will not spray any more Tenacity. The weather's going to start to heat up. If I get any kind of weed, it's going to be minimal. You would really have to be standing over top of it because my lawn is so thick. This area back here I may do a little work on. I'll maybe overseed back here when all this is gone. I have an irrigation system, so overseeding now. The grass will take with the irrigation system. Going into summer, I wouldn't suggest seeding Kentucky bluegrass. It just takes too long to germinate, but since I have an irrigation system, I'll put it down and it'll germinate. But anyway, I just thought I'd do a short little video on Tenacity and what you're going to see a few weeks after applying the Tenacity. Don't panic. It's supposed to do that. It is ugly, but it's what you have to do to get a lawn that looks like this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I got a lot of good content coming up. And hit that like button for me. And I'll see you in the next one.